everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Grain Gauntlet. As always, it's got 5 questions from farmers and clients and prospects. For Hedge Plus owner Patrick Hayes here. A lot of people trying to figure out what's going on in these markets. It's not bad. It's people are wondering how long it's going to last, and that's definitely reflected in these questions. So, Patrick, if you're ready to go, I'll start you off with the first one.
I'm ready to rock.
All right. First one says, is this corn rally sustainable?
Yeah, it is. I think end users are buying ahead right now because it's a futures market and anticipating problems with the South American crop. Why would they do that? Because historically, El Nino has led to below trendline crops in Brazil, northern two-thirds in particular, but also with flooding and too much rain in the southern third and cool temperatures and too much rain in Argentina. Overall, the continent doesn't do well with yields during El Ninos. And this is a super El Nino, so no one knows exactly if that will move the monsoon around more and maybe not have such a bad year, or will it make it worse? Bottom line, lots of risk to the end user right now, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing.
All right. And I know there's another big factor out there, but we will be getting to that shortly. This question says, what would put a stop to this corn rally? What would make it slow down or even stop?
A couple things. Better weather in South America than anticipated will kill this rally. If they can have a really good crop and make up for what happened in the Northern Hemisphere this summer with below trend in probably U.S., definitely in France and Europe, Ukraine suffering with exports, India not having a normal monsoon. If they can make up for that down south in Australia and in South America, that would definitely put a stop to the rally. I think the second thing is everyone in the world knows that China is supplying Iran, and the geopolitical risk there to our bottom line is China getting ticked at Trump if Trump goes after China with more tariffs because they're supplying Iran. And he's talked about going after Iran's allies. If that happens, China stops buying from us, we're in trouble. The risk, though, is mitigated to a great extent if we have poor crops around the world and South America has risk, because then China has to buy from somebody. And if they buy all South American crop, who's left in the world to buy from? So the weather and the lower yields has definitely mitigated the Chinese risk a great deal, but it's still there.
Yeah, 2 notes on China. One that I touched on in comments and audio this week. That we had a little blip with soybeans a couple of days ago, and it was the day that Secretary Bessent talked about imposing sanctions on countries that basically do business with Iran and continue to support them. And the note I said about that was what U.S. is known throughout this whole war that China's been helping Iran, feeding them intelligence, and we've looked the other way. And it's because we need this trade agreement, they need this trade agreement. And to further cement that, I just read today that as of right now, it's being projected that Brazil's soybean output is not going to meet its own demand and China's demand. It's already started forced China to look elsewhere. So both sides have a definite interest in making sure that regardless of what they're doing behind the scenes, it doesn't affect this trade deal. So,
yeah, you're 100% right. And that's definitely accelerated with the small crop and with El Nino causing normally small crops in South America. I think they got to play nice, but it's still a risk.
Right. Okay. Third question today says soybean yield sounds strong. So what's driving the rally there?
Corn. Corn and wheat are higher. You can't, there's some relationship in price. Corn, soybeans go up. Corn and wheat go up. Soybeans are going to follow. I think that's it more than anything right now. Although, late season, we're still dry down south. The Mississippi River Valley, which grows a lot of beans, is still dry. Was still dry in other areas of the Midwest, North Dakota, for example. They grow soybeans in North Dakota. So, bottom line is the weather is not getting better. I don't think the yield's going to be as high as USDA estimated, or definitely what the crops were estimated. I don't understand that at all. And so, if we have a poor crop in South America, again, this is a futures market. Commercials are definitely buying ahead right now in August when they don't have to. Why is that? It's because they fear that if South America crop does what it normally does during El Nino years, there's going to be less bushels available, and we're already tight. So it's not as dramatic as corn and wheat right now, but the risk in South America is even greater for beans than it is for wheat and corn.
Okay. I mentioned earlier there was another factor out there in the background that's kind of starting to rear its head again, and this question addresses that. Says, with fertilizer use in decline and weather issues piling up, I think these current prices are going to look low next year. What do you say?
I think we could see, as I wrote in the August 10th Scientific View, I think we could see an explosion in price for all the reasons we talked about today, and higher costs is part of that too, as a part of the equation. We definitely have lower ending stocks worldwide in feed grain significantly. And if South America has the weather that's being projected, will lower bean ending stocks significantly worldwide. This is that time when demand is growing, where population continues to grow. We're crazy people. So bottom line is the balance sheet's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and that could lead to an absolute explosion to higher prices.
Yeah, the first projections for what South America is going to do due to high fertilizer costs are starting to come out, and it's pretty significant. One, they don't anticipate growing more acres next year, which is the first time in a long time they're not growing. And two, on the acres they are going to grow, a lot less fertilizer use, which is almost certainly going to decrease yields. And that's another factor that's concrete. El Nino or not, that's happening, and that is not going away. That is going to impact things next year no matter what.
Yeah, and if you had the bad weather on top of it without same normal amount of fertilizer, wow. Again, this thing could explode to the top side. People ask me how much. I said, look at 2008, 2013, 12, 13, and 2021, 22. Explosion is an explosion. What most people don't get, and I'm going to lecture a little bit here, if that's okay, Josh, a couple minutes. Back in the 80s, I was a Coca-Cola drinker, okay? And they took off the old formula, and you couldn't buy it for 6 months. And so during that time, I couldn't get Coca-Cola. I switched. I figured I'm getting a little older, getting a little heavier. I need to try diet beverage. I started drinking Diet Mountain Dew. Guess what I drink today? Diet Mountain Dew. Even though Coke came back on the shelves 6 months later, I hadn't made the switch. End users are most afraid of not having the product to sell to their customers. Ethanol, feed grain, Kellogg's cornflakes. If Kellogg's cornflakes are not on the shelf, a percentage of the customers that buy Kellogg's cornflakes every time they go into the store will switch to something else that is on the shelf. The point is, end users will buy whatever the price is because it's more risky to them not to have the product on the shelf than it is the price. They can pass the price along. So when you get to the point where you have to ration demand by having higher prices, it explodes. And don't be surprised if we get to that point if the South American crop becomes as advertised. Now, if it becomes really good weather down there, the strength of this El Nino changes things from normal, and they grow a big crop, will collapse like a rock falling off a cliff, okay? But there is definitely risk right there. That's why end users are buying ahead right now.
All right. All right. Well, this last question here, I'm sure we've got a lot of people thinking, they'd really like to see this through, see what happens, see how far this goes, before they make sales. But for those that may not have the storage ability or the ability to hold off on sale, this question said, I don't have enough bin space to hold off on more sales. Where would you pull the trigger?
When I tell my guys that don't have enough bin space, and for right now we're 50% priced with buybacks, right? For corn, if they don't have enough bin space for 50% of their crop, hold off until they have to sell right now. We're not making a new recommendation right now. If they have to sell off the combine, let me know and we will make a decision at that point. Do we buy it back? So at this time of year, with a rally that's going on, with us going up 70 cents in a little over 2 weeks, you don't step in front of that freight train and sell. You sell when you have to. And when you have to, you call a market advisor and say, hey, I sold today. Market's still going up. What should I do? Should we do a buyback?
Right. That's sound advice. I think that's the way to go. Let's see how far this market goes. It, showing signs that it might not really slow anytime soon. I'm sure there'll be bumps along the way, but the trajectory looks like it's pointed in one direction right now.
Well, yeah, I'll leave you with this. One of the last things I tell my guys all week. Bull markets are 3 steps up and 1 step down. We've gone probably 5 steps up on this rally and not having to step down. So don't be surprised. Don't panic if we drop 15 or 20 cents. That's normal. That's healthy for a bull market. I expect that to happen. And one of the things I'm doing right now is to be long is selling 2 puts above the market and buying 3 puts near the market. If we go down short term, I can take profit on one of those 3 positions, have a better buyback in place, and to have less risk on that buyback. If it just goes up from here, I still make a lot of money. So, and add to the bottom line. I like that kind of strategy. It's perfect for a market that is overbought.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you, Armin, for the questions. Thank you, Patrick, for all the answers. This is definitely not boring times that we're right now. Lots to watch and lots to look forward to.
And no matter what happened with farmers this past year, this is fantastic news, okay? Unless you sold all your 26 crop and you don't have any buybacks on, we got everything that's not sold going higher. We got 27 crop going higher. We have an opportunity to get profit for you guys this year with your sales. Everybody should be smiling. Have a great week.